What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Fresh Out of College. This segment is our weekly segment. So we're gonna have Drew's blast from the past, Ryota's world record hunt, and then we'll dive into the short-term memory. So update our short-term memory forecast for this upcoming weekend, and we will have another segment of Are They Worth It, featuring Patrick Mahomes' new contract. So, ready, Ryota? You ready?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. So my blast from the past is July 14th. I decided to make it more broad and not focus on one thing. So I'm just going to talk about what happened and what was significant on July 14th. So in 1987, this day marked baseball's change of the the name change of the Rookie of the Year award. So they changed it to Jackie Robinson. So I thought that was pretty cool in 1987 on July 14th. Also, in 1912, a little bit farther down the line, South African runner Kenneth MacArthur set an Olympic record in the marathon for 2 hours and 36 minutes and 54 seconds at the Summer Games in Stockholm, Sweden. So pretty impressive for both parts. And then I guess, we'll see what happens next week. What do you have for world record hunt?
So today's world record hunt, I found a dog-related world record.
There you go.
Dog named Augie, who's from, or their family, the Miller family's from Dallas, Texas, and they tried to fit as many tennis balls as they can in Augie's mouth. Do you have a guess on how many?
What do you know? What kind of dog it is?
Golden Retriever. Yeah, that's probably helpful.
Okay, Golden Retriever. 4?
Yeah, close. It was 5.
Okay.
They were regulation, and they made sure that they were professional balls or whatever. But July 6th, 2003 was the record. So pretty recently,
That's that record reminds me of the mushroom game where you try and put all the mushrooms in your mouth at once, and then you try to talk.
That could this kind of record, Guinness World Record could be another fun one for one of us to.
You should do it.
I still have to do the closed eye, the blind chopstick, with M&M and Skittles. I just need to go to the market to buy some.
All right, this is what we'll do. You'll do that one, and then instead of tennis balls, I'll do the marshmallow one.
Marshmallows, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be for next week, and then we'll see what we can do. So I'll try and figure out how many mushrooms I need to fit. Marshmallows, not mushrooms. Marshmallows. I need to fit in my mouth for a world record. That'll be next week. That was a good one. All right, let's quickly move on to short-term memory and kind of update everybody on what happened this weekend, because there's a lot of things that happened.
Mm-hmm.
In the NFL, the owners announced that they are going to put 35% of the players' earnings into escrow. So that's just kind of like a third-party financial advisor that's going to take that money for security, because a lot of people do not know what's going to happen with the revenue, especially with the pandemic present. A lot of players are mad about this just because why is the NFL owners handling my money? They should have enough money to put up, because they are billionaires. So this is kind of reminiscent of the MLB, right? And the players' contracts, instead of it being guaranteed, it's just going to be saved away. So that might turn into a little bit of feud. We'll see what happens. Also, the NFL and NFLPA have yet to agree on training days and report days, so that's going to be another interesting thing to follow. Mm-hmm. NFL plans to stop game jersey swaps at the end. Ryota, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I saw that a couple of days ago, and I always like to go in the comments and read fan.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know.
Takes. It's become a hobby of mine while I'm bored at home. But I mean, people are like, why is that necessary? Because football is such a contact sport. But I get. I mean, everyone has to take every precaution as possible. And yeah, I mean, if you don't allow for jersey swapping, that just means people can't stand next to each other at post game, basically, right? Yeah. So I think, it seems tedious, and they're like, yeah, well, if but you can't avoid during the gameplay,
I know.
contact. So fans want football, but then they're saying this jersey swapping is dumb. Like, well, I don't know. I think it's. I mean,
It's
it's fine.
yeah. I think I don't see the motivation for like why the NFLPA did this or why the NFL owners did this, just because it is, like you said, it's such a contact sport. I feel like at the end of the day, I mean, swapping jerseys is the least of the problems, but we'll see what happens. New York Giants cornerback DeAndre Baker and newly acquired Seahawks cornerback Dunbar supposedly paid their victims of the robbery that occurred a month ago $55,000 to say nothing. So now if that holds up to be true, they face they'll probably be suspended and kicked off the teams and probably face jail time. So, and then 49ers, Raheem Morset requests a trade from the 49ers. He was one of the valuable pieces in the playoff run and as well as the Super Bowl. So we'll see where he lands up. He could land up. I think he could probably land up with Miami
Hmm.
or the Falcons. We'll see what happens. And then recently, the Seahawks and 49ers inquired about Jamal Adams. So big news in the NFL right there. What do you have?
UFC Fight Island 251. This was a pretty hyped up UFC fight. There's some pretty big names in this. I didn't watch it, but I know a lot of our friends watched it. Um, just to kind of go over the main, I guess the main events and people who are really excited to watch. The main event was a welterweight. It was Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal, and Usman won by decision. I think I read there was some controversy in how it
Mm-hmm.
ended. Um, and I know Dana White apparently even chimed in on this, but I didn't watch the fight. I'm not a UFC fanatic or analyst, so I can't really say a whole lot about it. But I think there was some disappointed fans for sure. The co-main event was a featherweight Alexander Volkanovski
Mm-hmm.
versus Max Holloway. I'm familiar with Max Holloway because I watched him a little bit, and we play the UFC video game, and he's like one of the talented people, and he has a lot of fans across the world. But he lost to Alexander by decision. I don't really know what the favors were, but I would have
I
said
think,
Holloway. I like
yeah,
Holloway
I
a
think it was
lot, so
Holloway, but we'll have
yeah.
to
So
get
good
our
on the upset.
experts on here. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Connor and Shane have insight, so we'll get them on the next podcast and talk about it. But yeah, all right, keep going.
And the last one, just to quickly touch on, his bantamweight class was Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo. And it was a winner by knockout in the fifth round. Peter Yan won. So,
Oh, there you
cool.
go. All
Yeah.
right, this was also, I think, the first time they had the UFC on their private island. So I think that was pretty much a big intrigue too. So pretty cool, pretty cool. In the NBA bubble update, we have just today, we finally got the news. We're the first ones to break it. But Russell Westbrook tested positive for COVID-19. One of the bigger stars to test positive. Yeah, he was not in the bubble, so he was going there with the team. So that's good news that he didn't infect everybody in the bubble. So the bubble's still intact. But yeah, that's pretty big news. I think he'll be out. He has to test negative 2 times in order to come back. And no, season's coming up, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully he stays healthy, or hopefully he gets healthy. And yeah, I mean, I think everybody else is going back into the bubble. We're seeing players kind of adapt to the lifestyle of the resort. And then also, Rajon Rondo broke his hand,
Yeah, I saw
I think
that.
2 days ago. So he's out 6 to 8 weeks. So we might see, like you said, a free agent, maybe Isaiah Thomas, come in. And I don't know. It'll be very interesting. The Lakers are losing a lot of players. Avery Bradley, Rajon Rondo. They might not seem as big, but that's depth that they're losing. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's the NBA bubble update.
Nice. And yeah, that'll be something interesting to talk about every week because there's always something happening.
Yeah.
Um, But anyways, MLB update. I think the most recent numbers we checked, there's 66 positive cases. Um, it's quite a bit. But again, they're not in a bubble situation, so like it's not, I don't know, terribly surprising, you could say. But it is a little bit worrisome. 58 players and 8 staff members have been tested positive. In the news, Aroldis Chapman tested positive for corona recently. Some other notable names: Charlie Blackmon, Salvador Perez, Joey Gallo. Those are a little bit further back, but just a reminder.
Yeah.
Michael Kopech for the White Sox, huge pitching prospect, throws, the hundreds. He's opting out of the season. So that's a big blow to the White Sox. I thought the White Sox would be really good. They were one
Yeah.
of like my favorites going into this. Buster Posey also finally said he'll sit out. He was kind of on the edge about it a couple of weeks ago, but now he said he will be opting out. So that's the MLB.
Yeah, the MLB, we'll have to see, but I mean, I didn't expect the White Sox pitcher to opt out just because we talked about it a few weeks ago, how young he was. But yeah, big blow for each team. NHL just announced that they will resume play August 1st. So everything is happening August. That's the update for the NHL. And
Nice.
then in
Okay.
pop culture, Shia LaBeouf got a full chest tattoo for his upcoming role in The Tax Collector, which
Oh,
I thought was
interesting.
really surprising because it's, a tattoo never really goes away. So everybody should go check that out. Look up Shia LaBeouf. He'll be in the news for that. He definitely got ink. Hamilton just released on Disney Plus July 3rd. So yeah, that's.
Nice.
Do you have anything else for our short-term
Yeah,
memory?
I got two other things. So first off, we'll talk about MLS quickly.
Okay.
Um, so we know FC Dallas withdrew from the tournament, or returned to the season a couple weeks ago, but now Nashville SC withdrew a couple days ago, or that announced that they will. They had 9 players test positive. I guess this doesn't come too much as a surprise because obviously they're doing a bubble. They're in Florida, but Nashville is in Tennessee, and Tennessee has a huge spike in numbers recently. So I think we
Mhm,
see some correlation here in Texas. FC Dallas, that's another
mhm.
hot spot. So I think
And
there's
Russell
there's going to be some
Westbrook.
worries about those teams that are in the areas. And if you think about Russell
Yeah.
Westbrook, he's also in Houston. So I don't know, just things to worry about. And then last but not least, Kara Lawson, who was a assistant for the Boston Celtics last year. She played in the WNBA from 2003 to 2015. Was also a commentator between 2015 to her role as an assistant, coach for the Celtics. But now she is announced to be the new Duke women's basketball head coach. Um,
Mm,
so pretty cool. So cool facts: she's the first Black head coach in program history, 5th Black coach in the ACC. But yeah, it's big news. When you get a job at
yeah.
Duke as a head
Duke
coach,
is a prestigious school, especially for women's and men's basketball.
yeah,
So that's a huge,
I think it's cool to
huge
see too
job.
because we're seeing, there's a couple coaches, assistant coaches in the WNBA. You know how forgot her name, but the one that coaches for the Spurs, Anna
The NBA,
Popovich.
yeah, the NBA, the Spurs, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's apparently awesome, and it'd be cool to see, if more of these, female coaches get bigger roles or promotions because like kind of like this,
Yeah.
Carl Larson was assistant for the Celtics, now she has a full-time role. She's the main at the Duke, so good to see.
Well, also Greg Popovich is getting up there in age, so you
I
never
know
know.
we you might need to talk about replacements. I don't know,
Yeah, he is getting up
but
there in age, but he's Pop, so he will forever be. But yeah, it's very
yeah.
interesting. There's a lot of these great coaches, Coach K. They're getting up there. They might
Mhm,
wanna, or they might consider retiring
mhm.
to spend time with their family. So definitely big roles will have to be replaced. Okay, yeah. So and then do you want to talk about forecast for the weekend? Do you have any cool
Yeah.
things you
Um,
wanna?
I'm just gonna go to the MLS because that's kind of one of the major things going on. I would
Yeah,
talk about the NWSL, but I don't have CBS All Access, and not many people do, so it's kind of hard to so that there's games to watch for. But I mean, it's always cool to watch the standings. But anyways, MLS.
Exactly.
Obviously, I'm going to touch on what day the Sounders play. Obviously, they're going to play tonight, Tuesday, against the Chicago Fire. They tied 0-0 against San Jose last week. Pretty disappointing. I was at work, so I couldn't watch it, but I've heard it was not very pretty to watch. And it's just with all the other sports, same thing too. When you come back, it's not going to be as good because everyone's rusty. But apparently, that
Yeah.
was one of the major issues. And then one more game to watch for: Montreal Impact versus Toronto FC. It's a huge rivalry game. As a Sounder fan, I don't like Toronto, obviously. So I'm going to cheer on for the Impact. But they play Wednesday or tomorrow.
Nice.
So that's
And
all I
then,
got.
as always, the MLB will continue to have inter-squad games. Do you know what channel that is on, or if that's accessible for the MLB?
I'm not sure. For some reason, I thought you could watch it on like Twitter Live or something, but I am not entirely sure. I've been watching a lot of highlights though of the Mariners. Man,
Yeah,
it's
they're doing
some
Kyle Lewis.
it's some pretty I
It's
don't know.
intriguing. It's fun to watch.
Don't rule out
I
the
wish I
Mariners
could
this
watch it.
year.
I wish they would make it easier to watch, but
Yeah, we need to do
you
some more
know,
research into that. But yeah. And our last segment, are they worth it? I think one of our more popular ones. Drew and I really enjoy this one, so we brought it back because we've taken a break from it for a couple podcasts. But who is our player today, Drew?
it is only the one, Patty Mahomes. He got paid 503 million about 4 days ago, 5 days ago. So 503 million for 10 years, the largest contract in sports history. He will be 36 years of age when he hits free agency. So we'll dive deep into that. But I think our last Are They Worth It? I think was, I mean, the major one for contracts was Jamal Adams, but I think we also had JT
JT
Realmuto
Realmuto and Dalvin Cook. Yeah.
and Dalvin Cook. So it's been definitely a fun segment.
Hmm.
Um, oh yeah, I can just get into kind of the nitty gritty of the contract, and then we'll discuss.
Okay.
So Patrick Mahomes signed a 10-year contract extension, so he's still on the 2-year rookie salary. But the only comparable long-term length among active players right now is Tyron Smith's 8-year deal, which he signed in 2014 and kicked in 2016 for the Cowboys, and that only paid him 97 million. So kind of a discrepancy there. And then to kind of compare more without active players, Brett Favre received a 10-year deal in 2001, I think. Yeah, 2001, which averaged around 11.25 million. And that was when the cap was 60 million. So that was about 18% percentage of the cap. And this is
Cool.
comparable to Pat Mahomes' contract, just to put things into perspective. He received a 12-year contract extension, so or 10-year extension, 2 years on the top,
Hmm.
which will pay him 37.5 million annually. When the cap is 200 million, so that is about 18.75% of the cap. So they are comparable. It's just the cap has now moved up for obvious
Right.
reasons of TV contracts, or
Yeah.
TV network stations have boosted the cap up.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely a big number when you first look at it. Um,
Hmm.
do you think he's worth it?
I think so. I think just looking at it plainly, I think he deserves to be. I mean, out of all the current quarterbacks, he's the highest paid now, right? Annually,
Mm,
and the second highest is Russell Wilson.
hmm
So I think, I mean, even
By
though I
a
have a
large
Russell Wilson
margin.
jersey hanging behind me, and I'm a Seahawks fan, Mahomes is better than Wilson. It's
Yeah,
just that plain and simple. So I mean, yeah, Mahomes should be paid. Um, and should be paid this much and be paid the most as a QB. I think that's totally reasonable. He's had a great year. I mean, I think the future's. I think he's only going to get better too. Um,
yeah. I mean,
and I think he
he
has a work ethic. So
league MVP, Super Bowl MVP,
mhm,
Super Bowl winner, and this is his second year of starting all 16 games. So it's definitely impressive. Like you said, I think Russell Wilson. I think just given the age and how young Patrick Mahomes is, it's a deal that you can't really pass up.
mhm,
And I'm kind of scared giving players 10-year deal, just because I mean, so many things can happen in 10 years. Like
Mhm.
Patrick Mahomes can get injured if I hope not, but that can happen if you have a 10 years deal. Um, the good thing about this contract though is like I said prior, the cap hit in 2020 is only 5 million. So the Chiefs have flexibility with that and they can pay other players. They can pay Tyreek Hill, they can pay um who I think Chris Jones.
Yeah, who's been in
And then in
conversation a lot.
2021, it's only 24 million. In 2022, it's 31 million, and then it starts increasing. It doesn't start to get really bad until 2025, so it's definitely a backloaded contract. This can be good or bad. What are your takes on having a backloaded contract compared to all the money up front?
I mean, so, if I'm getting your terminology right, backloaded contract means you get paid more in the end, right?
Yeah,
As you get
yeah.
older?
So he'll get paid 50 million in 2030.
Oh, I see.
So
I
yeah.
see. Well, I mean, I think first off, it's a incentivizer,
Mhm.
right? Because there's ways for your contract to get terminated, right? Like if you get injured or you retire, that makes your contract terminated, right? Am I correct?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
pretty
So
sure.
so if he
So
doesn't
let's
make
say,
the
for
roster,
example, if Patty Mahomes retired in 2025, he wouldn't get the rest of the money,
he would get the guaranteed money, which is 161
right?
million.
But he
So there will
wouldn't
be,
get the
but he wouldn't get the full. He
right,
would,
exactly,
there would still be a dead cap.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
for
and
the,
that's just like incentive for like like just any business scheme, commission based, right? He's saying, well, we want you to stay healthy and
mhm,
make sure you fill out. I don't know how to. I mean, yeah, not to retire and stay healthy, be fit, so you can play out, until you're 36, because that's when his contract ends. And we see that a lot too, because Russell's contract it'll end when he's 36 too. So I think teams are aiming to give players, to have a long term,
mhm.
in football for their career. But I mean, it makes sense from a business scheme. You're not going to give Patty Mahomes his everything now, because he could just
Yeah.
take it and run with it. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think. I don't know. Yeah, what else to say to that? But
I think it's interesting because we saw last year Jared Goff and Carson Wentz get paid, and it was more of like, okay, we're not gonna the salary, the rookie contract, we're just gonna get away, and
mhm,
then we'll start paying you the money,
mhm,
the 33 million. So right now, Jared Goff is fourth, believe it or not, in average salaries, and
yeah,
he's getting paid 33.5 million.
yeah,
So I think it's also a mindset. Like Patrick Mahomes knows how good this team is.
mhm,
He's obviously been to the Super Bowl. They won a Super Bowl. So he's like, okay, I don't need the money right now because I believe in my ability as a player to like obviously perform up to the standard, not get cut.
mhm,
So he is willing to not get paid as much money in the first 4 years of the contract, which I think is really interesting. And I don't know if a player that wouldn't be named Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson would do that, because I don't know. I don't know if I just came off a Super Bowl win and MVP and Super Bowl MVP, I don't know if I would wanna get paid 5 million this year. I think I would wanna be the top
yeah.
payer.
I
If
think
I don't believe in my if I believe in my talents and I believe I can be the best for the next 6 years,
mhm,
then that would make sense. But if I was Jared Goff, I would take that deal. I would be like, "I want the 30 million right now," you know?
mhm, right.
So
Well, I
it's
think
interesting.
yeah, I mean, it has to do a lot with personality and I guess, from how we see them from the public view, right? I think of Russell Wilson as a very modest man, very humble and respectful. So I think like Russell would be the type of player who's going to stay forever in Seattle. Like he probably doesn't want to leave. Same
Mhm.
with Patty Mahomes. I mean, the Chiefs drafted him, right? And he
Mhm.
didn't play at all. And out of nowhere, you decided to draft him in the 15th, 14th round, right, of fantasy football because he thought he was going to
Yeah.
finally make this leap, and he did.
Yeah.
So I think there's this trust between organizations in this situation that really helps, Patty have good leverage with his agent in terms of how he wants the contract, but also he
Mhm.
understands like the Chiefs' perspective and understands, Patty's probably the type of person that would want to stay here for 10 years too, you know? If he was stubborn
Yeah,
and or not stubborn, but if he didn't like the Chiefs organization, he probably didn't want this huge contract for 10 years. You know,
that's
so
true.
I think it's fun to see mutual relationships like this, you know, when, you know, the player and the teams are on good, you know, page. And sometimes when players aren't on good pages, it like blows up on social media, you know, like
Mhm.
Cam Newton, like recently, it seemed like it was a terrible kind of relationship, but like, I don't know, it's hard to say, but it's fun to see these kind of relationships and seeing long-term contracts where there's a lot of trust in the team.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting because I think he trusts his ability. Kinda just finishing up on my, like, argument. I don't know if I don't know if I finished in the top 6 of best quarterbacks and if I was Dak, I don't know if I would want to be guaranteed 39,000,000 7 years from now and still get paid incrementally. I think because I don't know if Dak has the stamina or not the stamina, but the ability to stay relevant 8 years from now or 6 years from now.
Mhm,
I think it's kind of like a different.
mhm.
I mean, we see just the talent level, I think is just different. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
but
it'll be interesting to see because, yeah, if we look at the list of, you know, current QB contracts, so Mahomes is first now. It goes
mhm,
Russell Wilson. Third is Matt Ryan, you know, who signed 150 million for 5 years, so he makes about 30 million per year. Big Ben earns 34 million per year.
mhm.
I don't know why I ran out of order, but
It's
Aaron
okay.
Rodgers, 33 and a half, Goff 33 and a half. And, you know, there's a lot of QBs that are not on this list or that high on the list. You know, Deshaun and Dak are questions of, you know, when are they going to
Will
get
they get the
paid?
contract extension?
Pretty
Yeah.
soon, we're going to have to start talking about Lamar. What's his worth?
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
I think
yeah.
kinda going down the list, like you said, we're seeing these players like Jared Goff, 33.5, Carson Wentz, 32. I mean, I kinda believe in Carson Wentz. I know you're a big fan of Carson, but Kirk Cousins, 33,000,000. Um, Dak just signed the 31.4 franchise tag. Ryan Tannehill is at 29.5. So, do you think we'll see some of these I mean, 45,000,000 a year. You would have to think somebody's gonna get paid more, right? Or did Patrick Mahomes cap the market there?
I mean, I think the only person that I could see surpassing Mahomes would be Lamar Jackson.
Mhm,
I don't think I like Deshaun Watson a lot. I like him
mhm,
so much more than Dak, but I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to be seen as more valuable than Patty Mahomes. Like, not even close.
mhm,
I think if I were Deshaun, I'd be happy to be put among that like small bracket of, you know, like between Russell Wilson and maybe Aaron and Big Ben.
mhm.
I don't.
Yeah,
He should not earn less than Goff or Wentz. That would be a major disrespect to him. But I think if he gets a similar contract to Russell Wilson, I think he should be happy.
yeah.
That's all I can say. And then for Dak,
And I
I don't really
honestly
know.
yeah, and I think this might be me biased, but I think Russell Wilson's a bargain too. So, there's
Yeah, if
that
you
too.
think, I mean, yeah, I mean that's a good point because, well, at this time, you know, because when we're thinking about like contracts, it just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. You know, Russell's at the top
Yeah.
for a while, so now it seems like we got him for a bargain. But I think at the time, like, I
Yeah,
don't
but
know,
isn't that what you said about trust?
oh yeah, well yeah, definitely. Um,
But yeah,
but I mean,
I
some
think
people
it's
are gonna argue like, oh, Aaron's a lot better than Russell Wilson, but why is Russell getting paid more than him? You know, and you know what I mean.
yeah,
But like, you're right. I think when you think of the big picture, it is a big bargain because now we see Patty Mahomes getting 503
45,000,000.
million. So it
I,
seems like,
um
yeah, I don't know.
I kinda wanted to bring up another stat just to show you how massive this deal was and put it
Hmm.
into perspective. So, Russell Wilson, when he got his deal, it was 4.48% more than the Packers' Aaron Rodgers, contract extension, which was the
Hmm.
highest.
Hmm.
So Big Ben obviously just had a new contract extension, but prior
Hmm.
to this, Russell Wilson broke, Aaron Rodgers' highest contract,
Right.
and that was only by 4.48%.
Hmm.
This year, Patrick Mahomes raised the bar by 28.5%.
Yeah.
So, that's like, that's almost unheard of, like, you know?
Hmm.
So that just means that Patrick Mahomes is only reaching the surface of how good he is, or how good the Chiefs think he will be.
Yeah.
What do you think will validate this contract? What do you think Patrick Mahomes needs to do for you to say, okay, he was
Oh,
worth
I see.
the $45 million, or the 503 million?
I mean,
So
at least one more.
you have
At
him for
least one
12
more league
years.
MVP.
Another league MVP again?
I mean, I think
Yeah.
Patty should aim for. What's the most league MVP records in a like? I'm not saying this right, but
Yeah,
what's the
I'll get
record
it.
for most league MVPs by a player? That's a quick fact check. It must be like 3 or 4. There's no way there's more than that.
So Peyton Manning won it 5 times.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm going to set him at the bar with Peyton Manning. Mahomes should shoot for 4 more.
So he already
And
has
it,
one.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that would be very impressive.
or you know what? Screw it. I'm going to say Mahomes is going to break Manning's league MVP record.
Wow. Okay. How
So
many
that's my hot take.
Okay, I this is the only thing I would say, Ryota.
Mhm.
Lamar Jackson. I think those two can
Yeah.
compete, and I think maybe there'll be some. And then also Russell Wilson. I think, I mean, he is getting up there in age now, but I think he still has enough juice to make a run for the MVP votes.
Oh, but yeah, you're totally right. But if you think about it, if Mahomes needs to get 5 MVPs, that just
Yeah,
means he needs to win it 50% of the years he's playing.
that
So
is
he'll
true.
say like him and Lamar can discuss maybe years they want to have off years. So
Oh
like, hey,
gosh.
Lamar, I'll let you
Did
win MVP next year if you can let me win MVP the other year.
did
Maybe
you
they can
see
do
that
that.
Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are favored in all 16 games?
I mean,
Isn't that crazy?
the Ravens are scary. All they need, I'm not gonna say all they need is. I mean, if Lamar gets like a really really good receiver,
Mhm.
like, well, we're gonna talk about this later in another
Yeah.
segment today, which is gonna be really fun. But I think if I don't know, give AB a chance. I don't know.
Well, that's a distraction right there. But
That's true.
What do you think Lamar Jackson?
We'll get
Do you think
paid.
Lamar Jackson is the only viable guy to have that 10-year
Uh,
500 million
man,
503 million?
it's hard to say. So I'm gonna check. Um, so
I
Lamar
think
Jackson signed a 3-year 54, right? So that means when he's
he
gonna be a free agent in a couple 2 3 years, 2 years.
3 years, I think. He broke the single season quarterback rushing record and in 2019, and he led the NFL with 36 touchdowns, passing touchdowns. And he won the MVP. So
I
he was a
remember when
29
people were saying he was gonna be turned into a receiver. Who are those reporters and analysts? They need to be canceled.
Well, I think I honestly didn't expect this from him,
No, I don't think anyone
when he
did.
came out in 2018. So
God, he was born in 1997. Can you believe that? I mean, he's 23 now
he's
because
young,
his birthday was in January. But man, it's the same year as me.
and
But
me,
anyways,
but
as far as so he'll be a free
can't
agent when
dwell
he's
on that, Ryota.
26. He'll be a free agent when he's about 26. That's like the same as Mahomes, right? When he got because Mahomes is 26 now, right? And then he's getting his um,
Yeah. So it will be just interesting to see because he'll be able to negotiate his contract next season, next off season, 2 years prior to it. So we'll see maybe if they do
20.
the Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes thing and disregard the 2 years and just put the contract on. Because
What
like
do
we
you
talked
think?
about like we talked about with Jamal Adams, you usually don't start making a contract extension until your next year, or
Hmm.
1 year left.
Hmm.
But Patrick Mahomes was the outlier and discussed it 2 years in
Yeah.
advance. So
So
that kind of like broke the underlying rules in a sense. But then again, this guy could be one of the best quarterbacks.
what do you think Lamar will get a bigger contract than Mahomes?
I hmm,
See,
I find it.
I'm
I think
conflicted because it
so.
can
I
go
think
two
he'll get.
ways.
I think he could get 45 million a year. I wouldn't be surprised if the next 2 years the salary cap will go up, right?
See,
Because
that's
it's
the one thing. Yeah.
the contract. Like
Uh-huh.
Mm, I don't know if he'll get 10 years because he is a Russian quarterback,
Yeah,
and he has a possibility or a higher chance of getting injured.
exactly.
So I don't know. We'll probably see a
See,
6-year deal,
yeah, I mean, the
5-year deal, but
conversation is right. So Lamar Jackson is a runner, or he's
mm,
not just a runner, but that's one of his specialities, right? And that's
oh
what
yeah,
makes him
he's
so
definitely a
good.
runner.
But the flip side is, imagine. Well, I mean, he's only going to get better and better because he's young. He's around a great coaching staff, and I mean, his work ethic got him here, so he's only going to get better. So the other question is, if he can learn and develop his throwing to become a
Hmm.
pocket passer, he that would make me pay him more than Mahomes. But with that play style he's in right now, it is risky, like you said. I think this is
Yeah.
another reason why Deshaun Watson might not get paid as much because he's very high risk. He's injury prone.
Hmm.
Let's hope Lamar's won't get injury prone. He's been healthy so far. But I mean, there's this question, right? But obviously, the league gets bigger and bigger. The salary cap's going to increase. People are going to get paid more and more because that's just what
Hmm.
happens with inflation, and that's like everything.
Yeah, TV
So
contracts are gonna get more. Yeah.
exactly. So, and thinking about Lamar Jackson, so I mean, he's only a couple of years away, so it's not like all of a sudden quarterback's going to make a 50 million a year,
Hmm.
you know, because it's just a couple of years from now.
I could see him surpassing it.
You think he'll surpass? See, it's
I
so
don't.
hard
So I think.
because
So this is what I think. This is what I think. This is what I think. I don't think he'll get the 503 million 10-year deal,
Mhm,
higher than that. But I think he will have a shorter contract, but maybe higher, maybe more annual. Maybe like we'll see
mhm.
46 million. I don't know. Maybe Patrick Mahomes capped the market, and I'd be fine with that. But I
I
mean,
think,
Lamar Jackson went off this season.
yeah, I think one thing I know for sure is from a Baltimore scouting perspective,
Hmm.
or like film analysis or whatever coaching analytics perspective. I think
Hmm.
they're really going to be looking for did Lamar improve his throwing?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
if Lamar improves his throwing, as he gets older and older and older, he can transition to a pocket passer and then
Hmm.
still be fast enough to get out, but like he doesn't have to rely on it. So I think they're really going to, I mean, this year, next year, they're really going to analyze that and see if his throwing improves or not. Because that might make or break whether he gets a huge contract or not. Because if he can't, if he, or not can't, but like if he doesn't improve as quickly as they want him to be able to be a Russell Wilson like in a couple of years. Because like Russell Wilson, was originally like very runner or another. Like they're like, oh, he can't throw it all, but now look at he's transitioned very well, but he can still scramble. So right, I think the Ravens are going to be really um, precise in terms of what they view or how they look at the film, I guess, and analyze Lamar. And I think that could really break or make or break his whether he gets more than Patty Mahomes. But I think he needs to really make a huge leap in the next couple of years in his throwing to surpass Mahomes' annual. That's what I think.
Yeah.
If that
I
makes sense.
think, yeah, it does make sense. I think two things. One, you talked about Russell Wilson, and I agree with you that Russell Wilson got this contract because he stayed healthy, and whenever he ran out of the pocket, he always slid down. So
Mm,
he was smart in that way. So in order for Lamar Jackson to be considered, he does need to tone it down. Maybe I don't know. I think he rushing is such his like go-to move,
right.
and it makes him so special that I think he just needs to he can continue to rush, but I think he needs to learn how to slide more,
Hmm.
personally. I think that's the only way he can probably stay healthy and then have confidence or Baltimore have confidence in giving that contract.
Hmm.
Another thing
Yeah.
we need to look at again, like you said, how he will do this next year because now teams are focused 100% on him. They will
Yeah.
have a spy out there,
Exactly.
and will he be able to depict defenses? Will he be able to read them and make that throw?
Hmm.
So it will be interesting. Um, but also, I think Patrick Mahomes was. This is like a team made in heaven. You have the quarterback whisperer in Andy Reid, who
Hmm.
when he was in Philly, he was able to give Donovan McNabb, I believe, a 10-year deal. So he has had that ability to groom
Hmm.
quarterbacks. Um, and that's just perfect. And then you have Travis Kelce, you have Tyreek Hill, you have
A bunch of
McCole Hardman.
young receivers too.
Yeah. So, but I think to finish this off, Lamar Jackson's in this kind of has the um, same kind of format uh, as Patrick Mahomes. They have a good tight end. Um, they have a great head coach, and the running back game committee is valuable. So
Mhm,
we'll have to see. But I think that finishes it off. I think we all agree we're in consensus that Patrick Mahomes is worth the $503 million.
mhm.
Um, Ryota is expecting 6 MVPs from Patrick Mahomes. We'll see if that happens. We will keep you guys updated year by year. I don't. That's going to be a tall task to order, but if he does that, he's definitely worth that, and probably even more. Um, but yeah, any last thoughts, Ryota?
No, but definitely tune into our separate podcasts and segments we're doing today. I think it'll be interesting, kind of related to this. So, yeah.
All right. See you guys next week.
See ya.